it's Asha. Welcome back to Reading with Asha. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a little idea that I thought of. I haven't seen this anywhere recently, but I'm sure that this is somewhere in the booktube realm. But I'm going to be doing, if you like this book, read this. So basically, I'm going to take a book and I'm going to show you it. If you've liked that book, if you've read it and you really enjoyed it, or maybe you just liked it a little bit, you like the concept, etc., I'll show you a book that's similar to it or maybe has a similar trope, and you can read that one too. So it's a good way to get some book recommendations in, especially because I know a lot of people who just started reading have trouble finding books that they like. So when you read one that you really liked, you want to read more like it. So I have a good amount of books here. I definitely could make more, but these are the first ones that came to the top of my head when I thought of this video idea. So let's do it. By the way, if you have any books that you want to recommend in the comments down below, or you can think of a book that is similar to another book, whatever you want to do, you can comment that down below and give more ideas. First of all, this isn't necessarily this book, but it's just the author in general. I know a lot of people like Colleen Hoover, especially people who are just starting reading. I feel like everyone starts with Colleen Hoover now when they get into reading, but if you like anything by Colleen Hoover, I would recommend the author Mia Sheridan, specifically her book Archer's Voice or Most of All You. I think Mia Sheridan is she has a very similar writing style to Colleen Hoover, but also her books deal with deeper topics just like Colleen Hoover's do, which also, if you're going to read anything by Colleen Hoover or Mia Sheridan, I would look at the trigger warnings before getting into the books because you might find something in them that could be potentially triggering. That's what I would recommend if you like Colleen Hoover and like the romancy type of books. Mia Sheridan, Archer's Voice is a romance book, and then Most of All You is also a romance book, but they deal with deeper topics and they have big plot twists, kind of just like this. Super easy to read, like the writing style is very easy to get to, quick pace, that type of thing. So if you like Colleen Hoover, I would highly recommend reading anything by Mia Sheridan. Next up, I have like a three-way kind of triangle here. So I have the book Daisy Jones and the Six, and I think if you like this book, you should read Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blouse. This is probably one of my favorite books ever. It's my favorite book of 2022. And then if you like Mary Jane, you should read Summer of '69 by Ellen Hildebrand. I haven't heard much about this book, but I'll kind of tell you guys the premise of all of these books in case maybe you haven't read any of them. This sounds like something you would like. This one is about a girl, her name is Daisy. She kind of has like an interesting childhood. Her parents don't really care. She like sneaks into all these bars and sneaks in with bands when she's like 16 years old. And this whole entire book is written in a really interesting writing style of like an interview, but this is based in the late 60s. So all of these books are kind of based in that time period, like more of a vintage feel. She ends up kind of joining in with this band called The Six, but they have a really good story of just the band going around. It seems like real history. Like you'll question if the bands in this book are truly real because it just seems so realistic. Like I looked it up so many times when I was reading. I know a lot of people like this for the old like 60s vibe. It's literary fiction, super easy to read, super quick. There's kind of a romance in it that's interesting. There's a couple of romances in it. And also this just became a TV show on Amazon Prime. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, or if you did read this and you like this, I would recommend Mary Jane because Mary Jane is based in 1970s Baltimore. This is a coming of age book and it's based on a girl. Her name is Mary Jane. She's 14 years old and her family is very stereotypical 1970s home life family. Her mom is the one who cooks and cleans. Her dad doesn't do anything. She kind of helps around the house with her mom, and she sees this ad in the newspaper in the neighborhood for a little girl who needs to be babysat. So Mary Jane's like, I'm gonna get this summer job, and she goes over there and starts babysitting this little girl who just says the most absurd things, and her family could not be more different than Mary Jane's. Their house is a mess. They don't cook, they don't clean, they don't do anything like that, and so Mary Jane kind of takes on this big role. It's a really good literary fiction story, and also there's the element of rock star, music, that type of thing in it as well, so that's why I would recommend this after this, but they have very similar vibes. And then if you liked Mary Jane, I would recommend Summer of '69 by Ellen Hildebrand because this is a coming-of-age novel, and also Ellen Hildebrand's books are the best to read in summer. I absolutely love this book. This is one of my favorites by her, and I don't hear a lot about it ever, but Ellen Hildebrand's books are usually multiple points of view because they just switch back and forth, and they're all fiction, and there's so many different things going on in all of her books, and they're so good. The main characters are Jessie, Kirby, and Blair. I don't remember if Blair's point of view is in it, but I know Jessie and Kirby, like, they switch back and forth. And Jessie's young, kind of just like Mary Jane. She reminded me a lot of Mary Jane in this book, where she's just super young and still figuring things out, but still like innocent. Like, I'm pretty sure she has to get her first bra in this book and that type of thing. I think that it's really good. And then these are also, pretty much all of them are based on Nantucket, which is actually where Ellen Hildebrand is from. It's a little island off the coast of Massachusetts. It's so fun to read about because it sounds so beautiful, and especially in the summer and the winter too, and like the Christmas season. But I really, really like the vibe of this book, and I'm pretty sure that this is based, yeah, this is based in 1969. So they're all kind of based in the late 1960s, early 1970s. If you like that type of thing, I would recommend all three of these. I really, really love them. And if you have any books to recommend off of these, like if I like these, you should read this, comment down below because I absolutely love these books. Okay, so next up we have some Greek mythology. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, if not already read, the book The Song of Achilles. If you like Greek mythology, or even if you don't, I did not like it really or care for it before I read The Song of Achilles, and then I absolutely loved it after that and wanted more and more and more. But that book is by Madeline Miller. It's a really, really great book. Tragic love story, all of it. That's Greek mythology, and if you like that, then I would recommend Circe, which is also by Madeline Miller, which is a really, really good book about Circe, who is a witch, but she's not a witch always, so it kind of gets there, you know what I'm saying? Circe does something very bad, then she gets banished to a deserted island where she has to live by herself, and then all the Trojans from the war come to visit the island. It's just a whole bunch of different stuff. If you've ever heard of Circe in Greek mythology, you probably know that she's a witch and commonly known as the one who turns men into pigs. So if that gets anything to you, if that makes you want to read it, whatever, this is a really great book. Also, Madeline Miller, she's just such an incredible author, and I absolutely love her writing. Like, it's so beautiful and lyrical, and both The Song of Achilles and Circe are really, really beautifully written, so I really like that. But if you like this, I think you should read Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. So this is a different author, but same really beautiful kind of writing style, and it's also Greek mythology. So Circe is the sister of Pasiphae. Pasiphae is the mother of the Minotaur and Ariadne. So Ariadne is about being the daughter of Pasiphae, and also she is the sister of the Minotaur. Did I say that right? I think I said that all right. That might be confusing. It's, you know, Greek mythology, but you get it. As you go along, you don't have to know anything about Greek mythology before you read it, by the way. You get it as you go, and it's really, really good and very interesting. So I highly recommend all of these if you like Greek mythology, but I think they kind of go one after the other. Song of Achilles kind of introduced me to Greek mythology in general, but also the whole Trojan War and everything. And then Circe really gets more into the Greek mythology plot, and then Ariadne is just so beautiful and so easy to read. Like, I feel like this is the easiest to read out of all of them. You could even start with this if you want to, but I really liked reading this after I read this because I kind of knew the backstory of Ariadne and who she was and who her mom and brother were and everything like that. So, love all of these. Next up, I have two that you've probably heard of these or heard of them compared to each other because they're very similar, but we have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is childhood friends to lover romance story. It's about Macy and Elliot, who knew each other when they were super young because they met when her dad got her this cabin after her mom passed away, and she found Elliot in the closet, which sounds scary, but it wasn't scary. He just liked to read in the closet. They were really young, like 11 years old or something. Maybe not, maybe older than that, but it was her first love, so they have a lot of history together, and then out of nowhere, they just stopped talking. They didn't talk to each other for a huge gap of time, and the whole time you're reading the book, you're trying to figure out why they haven't talked to each other. You see them falling in love because it goes back in time and then now, so you see them reconnecting. Wow, don't know why I said that so weird. And then you see them falling in love, and you can never figure out why are they not together. Like, they were obviously so in love, and then you figure it out, and it's very crazy, but it's a very, very beautifully written little love story, and it's super cute and nice. I know everyone loves this book, but if you like this, I would highly recommend Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I would definitely recommend reading this one in the summer, or even now, getting geared up for the summer, depending on where you live, of course. But this is a really, really good book that's pretty much the exact same plot of this one. It's the childhood friends to lovers, but this one is based in a lake house. So there's so many good summer vibes and just different things that'll literally make you want to have a lake house and a dock that you jump off of and swim in water, and it's just a really, really good book, and I really like this one just as much or even more than I like this one. I know people are gonna go crazy over that because everyone loves this book, but this is a really, really good one as well. Similar plot, so if you like them. Okay, the next one I don't have the physical copy of because I read it on my Kindle because I'm pretty sure it's on Kindle Unlimited, but the next one is 1,000 Boy Kisses, and that is by Tilly Cole. So this is a really good, also childhood friends to lovers story, but they stop talking in the middle and you can see why as you read it. It's a very sad book though. It will make you cry, and it's about Rune and Poppy, and their love is so, so cute. It's YA, it's young adult, so it's really easy to read and get through, and I'm just saying if you like that, you would definitely really love this. This is also a very sad one, will make you cry. I can't say why they're similar really because it will spoil like a lot of the plot, and I don't want to do that, but this is a really, really good book about Kate, and she moves from California to Minnesota, so she's starting this whole new life, but she's in college, so this is a little bit older than 1,000 Boy Kisses, and this is not YA, so there's more spicy scenes, if I remember correctly. In this one, she meets this guy. She has this childhood best friend too, who is kind of also in love with her. So it's really crazy, but also something that happens that's very tragic in this one too. So they'll both make you cry, but if you get the same feeling from 1,000 Boy Kisses, you just get that really good, pure, genuine love. You would absolutely love Brightside by Kim Holden. This is a good book. It's just abnormally large. Like, I don't know why the size is like this. And then the words are not like huge or anything, but it's a very like floppy, I don't even know what I'm saying. It's a very good book though, so I would recommend it. Last but certainly not least, we have fantasy. So if you like fantasy or you're just getting into fantasy maybe, I have two that kind of go together, and this is how I would read them. If you're wanting to start reading fantasy but you're a little nervous to kind of jump right into a big series, or you don't really know where to start because it can be very, very confusing with the world building and everything, I would recommend starting off with These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. I absolutely love this book. I didn't really want to read the second one in the series before I read this, and then right when I read it, I ordered it immediately and could not read anything else until I read the second one of that. So this is about a girl. Her name is Bree, and she is a human. And the fantasy elements in this book are the same or very similar to the ones that are in the next kind of series I'm going to tell you to read if you read this and like it. But these have fae in them, so they're like fairies, and they're not fairies that you would think of like Tinkerbell or something. And the humans hate the fae, okay? The fae do crazy stuff to the humans, so they just don't like each other. They have like a big feud. She would never go and do anything with the fae or anything like that, but her sister gets captured, so she's basically left no choice but to go and make a deal with the fae. But in order to kind of make this deal with the fae and get her sister back, she has to pose as the bride or potential bride of Prince Ronan. Well, she kind of has to get into the fae world somehow, and that's how she plays it out. But it kind of turns very unexpected, as she obviously doesn't want to be involved with the fae at all, and then she meets Prince Ronan, and she meets another fae leader called Finn. So, bit of a love triangle there. But if you read this and you really like the fantasy in it, it's very easy to read. The world building is not difficult to understand at all. If you love this, read the second book. It's called These Twisted Bonds, so you can kind of finish off the little duology there. But if you really like it, then I would move on and read The Big Boy, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I'm sure you've probably heard of this if you're anywhere on the booktube, booktok, bookstagram, whatever. You've probably heard of this series somewhere. It's a fantasy series. It's fae and human. Again, just like the start of this one. And it's really good. Sarah J. Maas is an incredible author. She has so many good books. I read this whole series. There's also another book which is huge, And then she has another series called Crescent City and another series called Throne of Glass, which is YA. I have not read Throne of Glass yet, but I'm going to read it soon because I have it on my shelf. So if you like any of these kind of fantasy books, especially this, then I would highly recommend getting into ACOTAR. It's a little harder to read at first. You kind of just have to pretend like you know what's going on because there's a lot of made up words, a lot of things that you won't understand. You just have to kind of pretend until you actually know, if that makes sense. But I really, really love this series so much. It's my favorite fantasy series I think that I've ever read. Well, consider Harry Potter fantasy then. They're kind of tied for me. But it's a really, really good series, so if you like this, I would highly recommend reading this afterwards, or even just the first book, but I'm sure if you read the first book, you want to read the second one, and then the rest of them. Those are all the recommendations that I have for if you like this book, read this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe down below so you can see more book videos. If you have any book video ideas, please let me know because I'm very interested in knowing what you have to say and listening to kind of your guys' opinions on things and everything. And I love you all so much. I love the book community. It's so much fun. I also have a bookstagram, Reading with Asha, if you're interested in looking at that. But I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys, love you.